It's darker in here.
This is not my first Michael Bratton rodeo.
No, I think
I've been on the Michael Bratton podcast, or that SEC, whatever you call that stupid thing. I've suffered through a couple of times.
Welcome in. Latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Go by SEC Mike on the Twitter streets. And there he is, fashionably late as usual. Everybody's favorite cousin Shane. What's up, brother?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. We are not technically in the off season, but for most of us, we are in the off season, and it's just kind of sad to know that we only got a couple more college football games to watch. You know what?
It is, but we at least have those games, so we're not completely in the off season now, and there's some action. I mean, I've seen it. We got Georgia. I guess they're going to get everybody that's in the portal now. They decided to check that out, and I saw ETN's going to stick around for another year. So Georgia said, "Hey, we got our ass beat on national TV. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again." So, yeah, I love watching the team scramble right now, but you are correct. We've got potentially two more SEC games left ahead of us.
Right. And Shane, I don't think you have any idea what we're poised to talk about today, do you?
I have no clue.
Okay, so this is what I came up with. I thought this would be a fun little exercise. Ooh. I got five.
You got to be careful using that word around me, Mike. I'm just eating better. I'm not quite to exercise phase yet.
Okay, well, it requires you no strenuous activities,
Okay.
I promise.
Okay.
But 5 teams that are going to have a better record than they had last season. But more importantly, this is where I'm going to get in trouble. 5 teams that are going to have a worse record than they had this season. So does that make sense? And I'm just counting regular season because I don't think it's fair to Texas. You go all this way, you win 13 games, and then I'll say, well, they're number one. It's going to be hard to win 14 games. You know what I mean? So I'm just going with what their regular season record is. Does that make sense?
Yes, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mike's list, not mine.
I'm tagging you on the graphic. You better be prepared.
And I'm muting the conversation.
But we will never mute the legend JR Shade.
There he is.
Just gifted another membership, this time to Defeated Samuel. I can promise you one thing, Shane.
What's that?
JR is going to have a better record this year. I know that. And Defeated Samuel, welcome to the family. And also don't forget to take care of our sponsor there, presenting sponsor, MyBookie. MyBookie.ag is the website. You want to go there and sign up for a free account. Won't cost you a dime. But if you're so inclined, you want to put in an initial deposit, put in that promo code, that SEC, THATSEC, they will give you a 50% initial deposit boost. It was 100% till Shane started hitting all his damn locks over there. You know what?
That's right, man. I saw a video floating around, a guy driving in ice and snow to get his bets in, So whatever it takes to get to MyBookie, we do appreciate it and absolutely take advantage of that promo code while you still have it.
All right. So again, we're going to talk about teams I think are going to do better, teams that are going to do worse. But you kind of teased it there in the intro, Shane, buddy. Oh, them dogs. Now, I'm not putting them in one category or the other real quick. I just wanted to give an update because their season obviously just ended. So that's a reason why they're a little bit more active right now in the portal and roster transitions and all that. But we got some big ones returning. Shout out Mike Griffith, friend of the show, Dog Nation. He's reporting running back Trevor Etienne. I believe he was the first one to report this. Trevor Etienne back for another season with them dogs, and he was banged up a lot of the year, but he was instrumental in the SEC championship. They couldn't have won it without him. He's a big time player. I think if they can get a full healthy season of Trevor Etienne, I think that would be outstanding. Dylan Bell, their receiver. It's kind of hard not to think of that drop pass he had in the Sugar Bowl, but I think he's a hell of a player. He's coming back, and Christian Miller, defensive lineman, are all coming back. But what the dogs are really excited about, Shane, all these transfer additions. Last week they got or a couple days ago Zachariah Branch. That was huge. And now they've added Noah Thomas, Texas A&M's leading receiver, is now a dog, and I think that he's already a popular Bulldog, Shane.
Yeah.
Adrian Maddox, UAB safety, committed to Florida out of the portal. And Georgia said, not so fast, my friend. Come on down to Athens. So he's flipped against Florida to Georgia. So I say all that to say I think he's a pretty popular dog right now.
What about Parker Jones? Is he coming back, or is he gonna stay down there? I don't know the situation. our favorite sideline player, you know.
I have a feeling as soon as that flag was thrown, his ass was straight to the portal, just like the Ole Miss dancing guy that was a member of the team. His ass got to the portal too.
Damn, Georgia do you think they're done? Do you think they're done, or do you think Georgia's just going to keep piling in? Because we got some teams that are still in the mix, and after they play, you know, they got the 5 days, you know. So I would imagine that Georgia's still going to try to poach some of these teams.
Oh, I think Georgia's not done yet, Shane.
Yeah,
and the fact you don't make the Final Four, that ain't good enough at Georgia, nor should it be, with all the talent you have and the elite coaching and everything you put into it. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're going to see when a team disappoints. Now, is that commitment down in Tuscaloosa? I don't know, Shane, because they've not been adding too many players, but they're waiting for the spring portal. That's what they're doing. You know what I mean? But I think at Georgia, they know they still got that championship window.
Yep.
They know they were a couple players short, so I think they're going in and they're spending money for the first time. You know, they've added guys before, but maybe not to this level where they had to beat out some of the biggest programs in the country to do it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Now, but and then they had about 20 guys turn pro. So I mean, they got the salary to free up essentially to get those guys back. But how about Alabama, Shane? They're getting back Dante Lawson, linebacker. He announced that a couple days ago. But defensive backs Keon Snap and Damani Jackson all announced they're coming back. So secondary and defense is looking pretty good early for Alabama. Oklahoma's R. Mason Thomas, he really started to come on late. One of the best pass rushers at the end of the season in the conference. He announced he's coming back. Florida pass rusher Tyreek Sapp announced he's coming back. And then Tennessee landed Amari Jefferson from Alabama. Shane, he was the number one receiver prospect a year ago out of the state of Tennessee. Made the wrong decision, go to Alabama, clearly. Now he's back at Tennessee where he belongs. And South Carolina landed a transfer, Rashul Faison from Utah State, who was rated as the number 7 running back prospect in the portal. So South Carolina had to get a replacement for Rocket Sanders, and they think they got it in Faison here.
That's it, man. That's it. That's the thing. It's the portal, brother. I love it. I'm starting to. These teams are going to look totally different next year because of it. So I'm pumped up, and we're already painting pictures of how much they're going to help our programs. Like our guys are always better, you know. It's like, but sometimes you see it. Sometimes you see some of these portal kids. They come in, they hit the ground running, and they look like Diego Pavia, but you know, sometimes they don't, and you whiff a little bit. But I do like some of these names, and I'm just trying to picture what that passing game looks like at Georgia now, what that running game looks like at South Carolina. So I'm excited, brother.
Cousin Malcolm says Cracker Barrel's hoping Cousin Shane is coming back next season. So yeah, what's the diet? You know, once it settles in a little bit, maybe you'll make a return. You know what?
Yeah, actually, I went there. Listen, let me explain. Went there 2 days ago, and me and my wife split. She wanted pecan pancakes. I had no pecan pancakes, but I got scrambled egg and bacon. So try to just clean eating, just try not to do any of the stuff, and I drink water and black coffee. So all in all, it was a success. And it was the first time in 42 years when they asked, "Do you want some biscuits?" And I had to say, "No, thank you."
They actually do have a couple of healthy options there at Crack. I mean, it's a whole side menu there. I've ordered off it before, and I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, I'm just now learning that, Mike.
You just skip over that portion usually, right?
Oh, when it says grilled, you just go on to the next one, you know.
All right, Shane. So how do you want to do this? Oh, shout out Cousin John. He said got his koozie today. A lot of people getting them in the mail. So
All right.
apologies that they didn't get there by Christmas.
Is that cornbread there too?
Oh, is that what he's? Is that what he's? Is that what he had there? Let's see it there.
I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Looks like something delicious, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think that we should start off with the better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the better.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that.
Oh, how about this one, Shane, from Cousin Robert here?
Thank you, cuz.
Appreciate it. Let me get ka-ching.
Thanks, cuz.
Thanks, Cousin Robert. Cousins, with Michael Lombardi up at UNC normalizing contracts to be NFL-centric, putting harder parameters for leaving, I sense, will any SEC teams follow suit? Well, if Cousin Shade was the GM up there, you know he'd do it.
Yeah.
I have not heard this news. I'll have to look into it to give, a better opinion on it. But, I mean, this sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You sign a contract. You got to honor the contract. That's fantastic. But I just think that is going to make it much harder to get that player to commit. And all I've heard is the big names that North Carolina's after, they're whiffing on all of them. Like the quarterback, John Mateer, now at Oklahoma. I'm trying to I know there was another big one. I don't think it was Branch. I think, but another big-time player. I don't even think, he really got an offer. The point being, if you have these guarantees, why would you go to North Carolina where you're locked in, where you can go to literally any other school and you're not locked in? I mean, which option are you going to take, Shane? I mean, unless North Carolina's blowing you out of the water with an offer. This sounds great, but they ain't doing this in the SEC. I'm going to the SEC where I can cash in as many times as I want.
Yeah, you kind of need a united front. It's like parenting, man. You can't have a good cop and a bad cop. You know, the parents have got to tell the child the same thing, or they're going to get conflicting answers, and they're going to go to the weakest one. So I feel like having all of them in is obviously the answer. There'll be a governing body at some point, but I hate when people talk about. Well, let me word this so it doesn't sound mean. All right. Yes, they are kids. They're college kids, but football has become a job. And like any job, there's certain requirements when you take that job, how you perform, how you dress, how you show up, that sort of thing. You don't have to work there. You can move on to another place. And I feel like that's what's going to happen is that some of these Power 5 conferences at some point are going to make contracts for these kids, just like a job. And once they're in that contract, it's null and void if they go anywhere else. So obviously that's going to happen, but being a single university trying to make it happen, no one's going to follow suit. It's just like when they first implemented NIL in California for these kids. Every state raced to get their governing body to get it into law so that they could now pay the kids in high school. So they're always going to be looking for an advantage, and no one's going to purposely create a disadvantage except for North Carolina right now.
Right. And this is the first sign, and there's probably going to be a many, Shane.
Yeah.
I wish Bill Belichick well, but this to me is the first sign that he ain't going to cut it at North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because you can't, I get it. That's the way it was in the NFL. That makes all the sense in the world. It's the best, governing sport. Obviously, we like college football better. But, I mean, NFL clearly knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You don't come to college football and be like, we're going to implement NFL rules, but only at this one school. I mean, that just ain't going to work. Another thing that he's hired his son to be defensive coordinator, Belichick. Mm-hmm. And then this Mike Lombardi, their GM. Guess who he's hired as his assistant GM?
His son.
I was like, oh, no.
Family business.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see Kirby hired his brother or his son to run the recruiting or anything like that.
Kids don't care. Kids don't care who they play for. They don't care. I mean, let me say this. They do care if it's like a Deion Sanders or somebody
Yeah.
that's a good promoter of their team or players, to help their brand, help them make more money off NIL. But Bill Belichick just going there because he's a good coach and he's going to help me learn, they're not doing that. Plus, they're not sticking around. So I feel like North Carolina will become a premier walk-on facility, if you will. Maybe some of these kids that don't have scholarships, I could see them going there to try to get in that way. But I don't see them, like you said, going after the big dogs in the portal and they're saying, "Hey, let me lock myself in here."
Yeah, I mean, that's just my opinion, but we've talked enough North Carolina probably for the rest of the year. But all right, so we're doing teams that are going to have a better record than next year. And I even labeled these 1 through 5.
Oh, wow. So like substantially better, or
More like I have more confidence.
Okay.
And number 1 will undoubtedly have a better record. Whereas number 5, I'm like, ooh, I think they can. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's start at the bottom of the good side.
I think I can. The Thomas Train of better seasons.
Well, sadly, this defines this program quite well, Shane. They went 2-10. Come on, Mississippi State. We could get to 3. It's a lock if we win an SEC game. We will get to 3. But Southern Miss, no idea why we're playing at Southern Miss. But if you can win that one, come on, Alcorn's a lock. I know NIU, they beat Notre Dame. So maybe I'm selling them short. But that's literally all we got to do. And I'm even overlooking Arizona State, which who knows if they can sustain it. But the fact they just won their conference, went to the college football playoff, I'm kind of chalking that up to a loss myself. But just win 3 of the first 4, and you're going better record than. So Mississippi State, I'm putting them in the better than.
And they're going to Southern Miss too.
That'll be the one that decides it,
Yeah, let me ask you, Mike, because is that going to be decided by September 20th by the NIU Huskies, which are now in the Mountain West? That makes sense. Do you think that for them to hit the over, they have got to do it by that date? Because even though they've been very successful in the portal, you know, it's one of the teams we're not really talking about is how many Jeff Lebby was able to bring in here. But I'm at this moment in, January, I'm not confident that they beat any SEC team right now. And Arizona State, which, was just in the playoff, I'm not very confident in that one either. So I'm looking at potentially 3 wins. But do you see them getting an SEC or maybe tripping up right now? I know it's early, but you're trying to pick a team that's going to be doing better. Do you, in your picking better, see them potentially knocking off an SEC opponent next year?
Potentially, sure. That again, it's so hard to go 0-8 in conference play. Yet they managed to pull that off last year. But they've won in Arkansas before.
Yeah.
What if the wheels come off there? That's I'm trying to make the case for one more. I'm not honestly seeing it. But again, the main reason Mississippi State's on this list
because they're going to win at least 2.
Yeah, because they went 2-10 last year, and all we got to do is pull an upset, and we're getting to 3. So, any complete objection to Mississippi State?
No. I'm not going to nitpick them all. I just the bar was set so low that I think naturally you're going to go over if you're looking at 2 wins.
Right. And hell, you get an Egg Bowl at home. You get 2 weeks to prepare, as does Ole Miss. But crazy things happen in those rivalries. Maybe that's the one.
Yeah, let's don't get too crazy, Mike.
All right, number 4, most confident. They're going to win more. Go on my list here. Oh, I think you're going to like this one, buddy. I think you're going to like it. How about them fighting Diego Pavias? Yeah. So, again, I'm not counting bowls.
Right.
So, they just won 6 games last year. So, I'm saying I'm confident that Vanderbilt can get to 7. Now, it ain't going to be easy, but they're starting to spend money in NIL. They're being very active in the transfer portal. They're bringing back Diego Pavia. They're bringing back basically the entire New Mexico State brain trust that they had. They're even adding guys, Shane, that were at New Mexico State when Diego Pavia was there and adding them to this list. I believe they just recently picked up a big-time receiver to kind of help that offense. So we're trying to find 7 wins here. And quite frankly, you beat Virginia Tech last year. I know it's at Virginia Tech. They're going to want some revenge there, but
Yeah.
I'm giving them all the non-conference in this scenario if they're getting to 7, right? So that's ETSU, that's at Virginia Tech, that's Georgia State. We got to get Georgia State back.
At home, at least.
Right, for last year in Utah State. So that I'm already at 4.
Right. So you're going to find 3 with and for those listeners, that's South Carolina, at Bama, LSU, Mizzou, at Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and at Tennessee. You're going to find 3 wins in there.
Well, we whooped Alabama's ass last year, so come on. I think Auburn and Kentucky are winnable, very winnable for Vanderbilt at home.
Yeah.
Hell, you beat these teams last year. Why can't you do it again? And between South Carolina, Bama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, and Tennessee, I think you can get one of those. And I think Vanderbilt has proven at this point that they can exceed expectations and they should not be counted out. Hell, I mean, the way they play, Shane.
Yeah.
They're a tough out for damn near anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't doubt them. I'm trying to. I really am. But I'd probably put them at the 5 spot here. But man, it's still, it's Pavia. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem is when Vanderbilt, you've watched Vanderbilt your entire life, you're just not ever ready to say they're a better team or they're a good team. But they clearly were this year. Even when Pavia was banged up, there was a lot of single possession losses that you could easily argue that if, they would have got a good bounce, maybe they would have won that game as well. So yeah, I'm right there with you, at least close. I'm not saying they're just going to blow the doors off the SEC, but I'll tell you right now, there's not one team in the SEC that wants to play this squad.
Yeah. And on yesterday's episode, we were talking with Steven, of course, and he continues to highlight just how much better the defense was with Clark Lee calling the defense for the first time as Vanderbilt head coach.
Yeah.
And they kind of just ran out of gas at the end of the season. Now that they know that they're cooking with some gas over here on the West End, I think that is also allowing people that would not give normally to kind of give to the collective so that they can shore up the defense. They'll have better depth. They're not last offseason, Shay, they were losing everybody.
Yeah.
They were not committed to NIL at all. They lost damn near everybody. So that's why they had to do this Diego Pavia experiment, and it was a huge success. And this is going to be one of the big benefactors of when the revenue sharing kicks in, because they'll have about $15 million, maybe even more, to spend on a roster that, quite frankly, they didn't have before. That the roster won't just be rated all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I think you're liking this list.
You're getting smarter. Was that your New Year's resolution? Just be a smarter guy?
No, it was to stop talking bad about all these coaches, except for Hugh Freeze. I'm throwing him in there. All right, number 3, Shane. Who's going to win more? And again, I'm getting more confident as we go up this list. I think you're going to like this one. Give me them LSU Tigers. Come on, buddy. And again, we're not counting bowls. So they won 8 games last year. Can they get to 9? I think they got the pieces to do it. I mean, quite frankly, they did it every year until last year under Brian Kelly. So got to recapture some of that magic. Must beat Clemson in the opener. It is at Clemson, unfortunately, but maybe it was just playing these marquee games in a neutral field. Maybe that's what was even playing in the imitation Death Valley. We know where the real Death Valley is. But Clemson, they seemingly play an SEC team every week 1, and they lose every damn time. So I'm taking that one for LSU. Louisiana Tech at home, Florida at home, Southeast Louisiana at home. So the first 4, give me 3 wins. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for LSU. Baby, we're cooking with fire here. At Ole Miss, that's going to be tough. South Carolina at home. Let's split the difference there. let's say 1-1. Vanderbilt on the road, A&M at home. You might win both of those. At Alabama, Arkansas at home, Western Kentucky at home, and at Oklahoma. Can we get to 9? I certainly think, particularly if we beat Clemson, I think we can get there because the most daunting one is probably at Alabama.
Yeah.
They whooped the heck out of us at home. But, Brian Kelly, he's played Alabama tough before. So I'm just not seeing a lot of games here that are like LSU's got no shot. In fact, I don't think there's any that I could say that about.
No, I think LSU has a shot to go undefeated. So I really like what they've done here in the offseason with the transfer and just the recruiting as well. The only concern is the away games. Clemson, Ole Miss, Bama, Vandy, Oklahoma. So to go to 9, you've got to win several of these games, but you can't afford to lose more than 3. And that's just simple math, Mike. So, look, I'm also being smarter this year. But they're tough games. There's a lot of swing games in those road games. And so, but I am confident. I think the biggest thing for me was bringing Garrett back.
Yep.
Perkins back. Some of the pieces and shoring up some of the holes that we saw late in the season this year. So, yeah, LSU's going to be a crowd favorite in the offseason for sure.
Yeah, and obviously they're attacking the portal like they never have before.
Yeah.
Depending on what outlet you look at, I think it's wild how different some of these outlets, Shane. I think it was 24/7 Sports. They got LSU as the number 2 transfer class. I don't know if LSU's in the top 10 in the On3 one. and then I saw another outlet today put Mizzou as the number 1 transfer class. So, take that all for what it's really worth, which is kind of guesswork. But
yeah,
the point being is they are spending in a high level. They're outbidding people to get players. I love that strategy, and I think that's going to be the strat. Last all season, Shade, it was Ole Miss and Missouri and some of these teams, Ohio State, who's like desperate to get better because they see a window or their arch rivals beating them bad. But now I think it's going to be coaches that literally cannot afford another down year, like a Billy Napier, like a Brian Kelly. Let's spend. And we may not be able to do this year after year, but we can do it for 1 year to kind of save the program. I think that's what's going on down there in Baton Rouge, and I think that's a smart play.
Yeah, I do too, brother. And you can feel it. You can feel it with the fan base. They were out. They were pissed. They were ready to get rid of this coach, and now they're like, all right, I see what you're doing, Brian. So let's give him another year.
And again, I've made fun of Brian Kelly more than just about anybody, but this is the same guy, Shane, that took over LSU. They had 36 scholarship players in a bowl game. And what did he do his first year? He won the West.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the more impressive coaching jobs. And this is, Texas and Oklahoma, they may not know because they weren't here, but buddy, the SEC West was where it was at. That was the toughest division of all time.
Absolutely. And when they started talking about restructuring, I was like, oh, man, don't you dare put Bama over here.
All right, how about this one, Shane? Number 2, most confident is going to win more than they won last year. You're going to hate this one, I think.
Uh-oh.
Florida Gators. Again, they won the bowl game, so I'm not counting that. So they won 7. I think it's almost a lock that they get to at least 8. Hell, we're getting hit up with all kinds of questions of, can they win the national championship? Can they win the Heisman Trophy? On and on and on. Florida's one of the hottest teams, and believe it or not, Shane, believe it or not, I did a double take when I saw this. Do you know who's got the longest winning streak in the SEC right now?
Well, you kind of set me up. Florida Gators.
Florida Gators, 4 wins in a row. Oh, buddy. So does that mean they're the best team? I think it does, but maybe that's going a bridge too far. But again, what are we looking at here? Shall we got to go 8-4. And it's going to be, right out the gate. Long Island, I think this is, at home. The Sharks.
Yeah.
South Florida at home. Come on, 2-0. We're going to cruise to 2-0. At LSU is going to be very, very, very difficult. At Miami, I got no respect for Miami. So give me 3-1 there.
Yeah.
Split. We're splitting LSU and Miami. Texas at home. Maybe a little bit of a toss up. Not really. I obviously favor Texas. At A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia, and hell, we almost beat Georgia last year, Shane. I'm just saying. So give me two. Give me two in the middle. So right there, we're already up to 5. All we got to do is win 3 more, brother. At Kentucky, we own Kentucky now. At Ole Miss, we whooped them last year. That's not going to be easy. We own Tennessee, and Florida State's garbage, Shane. So, I might go 9 or 10 for Florida.
Jeez. Yeah, I trailed off. I wasn't really paying attention after 9 wins. Get the hell out of here. I saw the Tiburon Shark. You remember that when you had to create a team? That's what I was thinking about, creating a team in Madden. And then I thought, look, they got 2 cows and cowbells on October 18th with Mississippi State. That's what was going in my head, because there's no way on God's green earth that you are that confident that they're going to be better. But you are. And it's scary, because I thought being smarter was your New Year's resolution, and now you're coming out here with this nonsense. So, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of hype behind the Florida Gators. There's going to be a lot of confidence in Billy Napier this season, but I can't sit here in good faith and say they're going to beat LSU. They're going to beat Miami. They're going to beat Texas, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee. I just can't. I can't sit here and say that with confidence. So, do I think they could be better? Absolutely. Better team? Absolutely. Better record? Maybe, but not substantially maybe. So, I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, Mike.
Sounds like you're going to be walking your old ass with another bet, but no. Because I think 8 and 4 is attainable. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah. Obtainable, yes. Yeah. So it's 200 pounds, Mike, but I haven't been there since 7th grade. So,
all right, the number 1 team, Shay, that is bound to win more than it won last year. I don't know how you're going to feel about this one. Give me them Auburn Tigers, Shane, with 5 and 7. Cue the greatest coaches side of the Mississippi. All we got to do is win 6, right? And our non-conference, this is a little tricky. At Baylor, right out the gate, Steven says they're going to be borderline top 25. So probably not preseason top 25, but just outside the window. Ball State at home, South Alabama at home. We can win all those games. Right there's your 3. We got Mercer late in the season. That's 4. We just got to win 2 SEC games.
Oh, yeah.
2. At Oklahoma, at A&M, Georgia at home, Mizzou at home, at Arkansas, Kentucky at home, at Vanderbilt, and Alabama at home. Again, I'm not saying you're going to the playoff. I'm not saying you're just going to destroy everybody, but this is a lock that Auburn goes 6 and 6, I think, next year.
Yeah, I think I think there's a chance they double their win percentage or their win total from last year. That's how confident I am in these Auburn Tigers. This is my dark horse, so I am very confident. I'm glad you have them at the top of your list, because I totally agree with you.
You're right. So, and I'm not saying 6 and 6, Shane. I'm just saying a 6 and 6 will be an improvement, and they would qualify. So I'm saying they're a lock to make a bowl, which is kind of, that should not be the standard, and I'm not saying it is, but I think 7, 8, hell, maybe even 9 wins is attainable for Auburn.
Can I ask you something? Because it's been bothering me a little bit, and not bothering me, but I've been racking my brain. I've been very confident in what Hugh Freeze can be and what Auburn Tigers can be. Yeah. And I've, on the other side, have been really down here lately on Arkansas. And when I look at, and I'm not going to call the young man out, but he asked me, he said online, he says, why are you so hard on Sam Pittman, but not on Hugh Freeze? And I said, well, one is going into year 3, one's going into year 6. In the last 2 years, if you combine their win totals, they're exactly the same. So I'm not saying, I shouldn't say super confident, but I'm expecting more this year coming into this season with Auburn than I am Arkansas. But if somebody asks you a question about these 2 coaches, where would you, if you're talking about better situation or more confidence in, what are you thinking right now?
Are you talking about the programs or just the coaches?
Maybe Yeah, let's say I guess you got to rope in the programs, but yeah, both the coaches and the programs going into 25.
Well, to my knowledge, they faced off 3 times, and once was at Liberty. Well, Hugh was at Liberty.
Yeah.
They faced off 3 times, and 2 of them were in Fayetteville, and Hugh Freeze won both of them. Now, obviously, last year Arkansas they won at Auburn, so edge Hugh Freeze there. But I think Auburn. I mean, I think it's a given. It's a better program in terms of being able to acquire talent. I think it's a better program in terms of raising NIL money, but also the pressure is incredibly high. I mean, both of them are incredibly, incredibly high. I mean, I think Arkansas fans are starting to butter themselves up a little bit because they won 7 games, and they're saying, all right, I guess that wasn't awful. But even them, they're like, I mean, they were ready to fire his ass at 6-6. And I'm not saying they should be happy with 6-6 every year, but he's also won 9 games a couple years ago. I mean, it's Arkansas, I think is a significantly tougher job than Auburn.
Okay.
And Auburn, I think, got not a lot, but a little bit easier when Nick Saban retired.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll look back at it. I think Hugh Freeze's biggest failing potential, let's say he gets fired this year, which certainly could happen, is going to be not Auburn really, really, really potentially missed a window with Nick Saban walking out that door for Auburn to swing that momentum back and kind of start to own Alabama again.
Yeah.
But if they fail to do that, that's a big reason why I would fire Hugh. Like if they go 5-7, his ass is gone. It's got to be.
Are you feeling that this coming into this season? Like, do you feel like, it's always been substantial here lately. Alabama has always had a better roster and it felt like better coaching. But now coming into that matchup, the Iron Bowl, and there's still a lot of dust to settle. I get that. But do you feel like these teams are a little bit closer now? And what about the coaching? Do you have a little bit, like, who would you give the edge to right now, Kalen or Hugh Freeze?
Probably still Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
But not by a lot. And I'll make a prediction now, Shane.
I love predictions, Mike.
The loser of the Iron Bowl,
Yeah.
a coach is fired. Fire his ass. Will not be back in 2026. Because I think Auburn, if they're losing that game, again, I know it's a big time game, but it is at home. That tells me they didn't have a great year. They're not making the playoff,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's playoff or bust, but they should be in consideration. And if Alabama's losing that game, the last game of the year, DeBoer's missed it 2 years in a row, fire his ass.
Make a note. Snip 37 minutes.
Well, I got you another one, Shane. Another clip. Don't forget, this week, brought to you by Rocket Buddy. Come on, rocketbuddy.com/game on. That's the sponsor this week. Rocket Money, they sent over Shane and I a link to the app. We have been using it. It's a great tool for a lot of different things. It's a new year. You want to get your finances in order. It's helping you save money. And what it does, which is so unique, is you put in your email address and it looks up all the services that you're currently subscribed to. So you can cancel them right away if you ain't going to be using it anymore, like a YouTube TV or Apple or Disney or whatever. Sometimes there's services I don't even know I have anymore, Shane. But Rocket Money not only does it do that, it can help you with your credit score, can help you save. Like I'm trying to buy some property this year, so you can set goals on what you want to get. And Rocket Money, it will look at your spending and how much you're making and determine where you can make those cuts to reach your financial goal. So again, that's rocketmoney.com/game on, sponsoring the show this week.
Yeah, awesome sponsor. And if you get a chance to do it, it's a really cool app. It's an eye opener, and with like losing weight, you always want to put a log, count your calories, that sort of thing. But you can't start a New Year's resolution like, I want to save money, I want to do better, if you don't even know what your finances are doing. By God, Rocket Money tells you in like 2 seconds where you're at and what you need to do to fix it. So really cool app.
All right, Shane. So I was good cop. Let's bring in my favorite guy. Bad cop. Come on. Who's going to lose more games this season, 2025, than they did in 2024? This was a tough one, Shane, but I got to do it. They only won 4. I don't know if they get to 4, Shane. Come on down, Kentucky. I think Kentucky could only win 3 games. Your non-conference, Toledo at home, Eastern Michigan at home, Tennessee Tech at home, and Louisville. And Louisville destroyed you at home. They got Braum as their head. He's fantastic. He's one of the best coaches in the game, I think. So I'm only giving them those 3 outside of Louisville. I'm not convinced of an SEC win here, Shane. At South Carolina, at Georgia. I mean, good Lord, that's and Ole Miss. Throw Ole Miss in there. You did beat Ole Miss. You're getting them at home, so maybe that's the one. Maybe Lane Whiffen shows up again. But after that, at South Carolina, at Georgia, Texas at home, Tennessee at home, at Auburn. Auburn absolutely destroyed you last year. Florida at home and at Vanderbilt. I mean, they're gonna be underdogs in all those. Even probably Vanderbilt.
Yeah, no, it is. And Mike, I mean, we've got to a point. I mean, the Kentucky boys ain't even answering the call when we talk about bourbon bets, except our boy, except Ollie up there, he's the only one, the true Wildcat. But even then I feel bad, so maybe I should end it, but maybe I should send it back because they need it right now. You know what I'm saying? They need it more than I do. And I'm with you, brother. If we had Papaw's Vanderbilt, maybe I could see the 4. And I hate that we're even saying that, but
yeah,
I have no confidence that they're going to get to 5 or a bowl game or any of that. I mean, I even beat my chest going into that Louisville game, and they just flat out destroyed us. And man, short of you catching somebody off guard or 2 teams off guard like you did Ole Miss, I don't see the miracle happening. So unfortunately, I see a long 2025, Mike.
Mm-hmm. So again, this number 5. So that means I'm least confident that they win less than they did before, but they're on the list here, Shane, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4. Oh, buddy. We may lose you on this one.
Don't
Shane.
you say anything in orange.
Mizzou, come on, Dad. You won 9 games in the regular season. So I'm saying 8-4 looks a little likely. And I know you get the Purple Bears here from Central Arkansas. You get Kansas at home, Louisville, or it should be Louisiana, Lafayette at home. South Carolina at home, UMass at home, and then Alabama at home. So, hell, there's not a better slate in the damn conference. But I hyped them up last year because of the slate. I'm not doing it again. I'm not saying these are unwinnable games. I think you can win damn near all of them, potentially.
Yeah.
But, yeah, some of these are tougher than others, Shane. And then even at Auburn, we anticipate they'll be better. At Vanderbilt, they nearly knocked you off last year. I think Vanderbilt's better. I think you're a little bit worse. You get Texas A&M at home, Mississippi State at home, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. So, again, I'm not saying the wheels are falling off. You won 21 games in 2 years. That's one of the best records in the SEC in that span.
Yeah.
But I think it's reasonable to expect an 8-4 unless you were to go into the future and tell me this quarterback they landed, Bo Pibula, I think is how you say his name. He was the backup at Penn State. To my knowledge, he's never started a game. If you were to tell me, that he throws for 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, okay, yeah, 10 wins is 100% going to happen. But I don't know that he's even a capable starter in this league.
Yeah, I mean, because we've gotten burnt off transfer quarterbacks that's never played many times. So I can't disagree with you. I mean, when you lose some of the athletes that they lost, and they've been very active in the portal, and it's fun. We do this as fans. We convince ourselves that was exactly what we needed, and but you've got some games on here. You mentioned South Carolina, Bama, A&M. Those. Even if you lost those three, you're in a good spot, good situation. But you'd have to win 10 to move forward. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know, man. Right now I'm going to have to agree with you. I'd probably move them down on the pecking order here. Maybe they put them at the 5 spot, like least confidence, because still, Mizzou, Drink finds ways to win 10 games a season. So, but yeah, what a beautiful schedule too. You know what I'm saying? 4
Right.
road games, and it's Auburn, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So those are the 4 I'm probably picking to go on the road with. So as nice as their schedule was last year, I like it even more this year. So if the quarterback transfer is a hit, then you can throw that right out the window.
Right. And I thought this was hilarious. I never seen or heard this comparison in my life. I doubt you have either. But Steven compared them potentially. He said this could be next year's Indiana.
Yeah.
And that's usually a the opposite of a compliment. You know what I mean? It's a backhanded
You called
statement.
me what?
Yeah. But next year with this schedule, again, if they go 11-1, they're in the playoff.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Indiana did, and they got, there's a real opportunity. Let's say it's, I'm just picking one at random, but let's say it's Alabama. Let's say Alabama beats you,
Yeah.
but you beat everybody else. You're in the
in.
playoff.
You're in. No, I'm right there with you, man. It's just some of these teams that I have more confidence in. It's mainly I have more confidence in quarterback play,
Right.
and I love the system. I love what they've created up there, and I'm right there with you. Still, here we are arguing an 8-win season as a bad year. So that's kind of the standard they've created up there. But, when you're up top, it's easier to fall too.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to sense a theme here, Shade. So number 3, most confident, will win less than they won last year in the regular season. This was tough. This would hurt me, Shane. But I'm feeling, because I put it up here, I'm a little bit more confident in it. South Carolina. Again, red hot, should have been in the playoff. I'm going to keep saying that probably till I'm on my deathbed there. Should have been on the playoff. But they won 9 in the regular season.
So
Can
can
you
they get to 10?
That's tough, man. In this league, it's very, very difficult. I think they got I know they got the quarterback that can get them there, but he's got to be on point at all times. I just think playing Virginia Tech in the opener in Atlanta, that's a little bit of a trap game. South Carolina State at home, Vanderbilt at home. You get your bye week. You're at Mizzou. Mizzou has owned you up until last year. And Kentucky at home. That's always a weird series. Whoever is like the favorite,
Yeah.
loses. It's the damnedest thing there. At LSU, Oklahoma at home, Bama at home, at Ole Miss, at A&M, Charleston, or that's Coastal Carolina, and then Clemson. So I'm saying, I don't know why, Shane, but I'm feeling maybe it's the bowl game. I shouldn't pick on them for the bowl game, but I think 8-4 is more likely than 10-2 right now for some reason.
You just hate South Carolina. You hate anything in Columbia, it sounds like, Mike. So I don't know, man. I told you the confidence I have is in the quarterback situation, and I feel like they're coming in with one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah.
Pair it with one of the toughest defense, and good things are going to happen. And some of these close games that will determine 10 wins or 8 wins, I think you got them at home, man. Clemson, Bama, Vanderbilt even. I like that. So, but they can't all win, Mike. They can't all
And here's
win.
the thing. Let's say they win all the home games. And I'm including Virginia Tech in that, even though it's not. But let's say they win them all.
Yeah.
You still, you got to go at Mizzou, at LSU, at Ole Miss, at A&M.
Yeah.
Those are all, the fairest way I can say it, those are toss-ups.
Yeah.
Or leaning the other team.
Right.
I mean, is that fair or no?
Yeah, toss-ups. I'm looking at Mizzou. as a toss-up. I'm
Right.
looking at A&M as a toss-up. I think LSU and Ole Miss would have a slight edge coming into the game. But so even if they lost one of the I'm seeing more of a 9-win deal instead of a 10, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had to pick somebody, Shane.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I don't know, brother. This is the other one I talked to about LSU. I told you about Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
This is another team that's going to be a trendy, sexy pick in the offseason, mainly because of the pieces they are bringing back. So, yeah, I'm right. I just disagree. This is Mike's list, not my list. I ain't have to defend it, you know?
All right, number 2 team, Shane, most likely to win fewer than they won last year. Feel free to log off now, Shane. Tennessee, come on, Dad. You went 10-2 last year. There's a shot. You do that again, or possibly even better. But anytime I see at Alabama, I can't remember the last time Tennessee won at Alabama. I can't remember the last time they won at Florida. So, and then, of course, Georgia, which owns you. So, right there, you can win every other game. It's a good year. Not a great year, but it's a good year if you go 9-3. I think that's kind of in the cards. I think Syracuse is tricky. They were a pretty hot team this year. The rest seem very, very, very winnable. So, again, I'm not saying they're going off a cliff here. But I think 9 is more likely than 11 here.
Well, I look at that third row at Georgia, or home to Georgia, at Bama, at Florida.
Yeah.
Those are going to be tough. But Tennessee does have a pretty good schedule here, pretty easy schedule. They'll be talking about it coming into next year. Yeah, I think you're wrong. Yeah, I think 10. Here's what I think. Georgia, obviously, that's going to be the tough one. Even if they beat you, now you got to split between Bama, Florida. It's kind of where I'm at. I mean, shit, you can't move Arkansas because they did beat you at their place. So, you know, I don't know. Nah, I'm just disagreeing. I'm disagreeing with all of them. No, bad list. Dumb person.
I like this comment from 3XO here. Also, why do people pick A&M over South Carolina in this? South Carolina absolutely smacked A&M last year. Who's to say we can't dominate them again at Kyle Field? Well, this is a person that does not understand the series. Do you have any idea off the top of your head, Shane? A&M, South Carolina, their record against one another? 9-2. Texas A&M. I mean, Texas A&M's owned South Carolina. So
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect A&M to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I get it though. I understand it, and I think too short-term relevance is important. You know, coming back, but yeah, but it's tough to win down there in College Station.
Yeah, no doubt, especially in a second year of a coach. And you know who's going to find that out next year, Shane?
Who's that?
Number 1, most likely to regress. Who? You want to take a wild guess as I throw it up here?
Most likely to regress. Oklahoma.
They were certainly a candidate, Shane. Come on down, Texas. Just, because they won 11 games.
Yeah.
So, and here was the key for me. Ohio State on the road, week 1. So Steven says these very likely will be number 1 and number 2 in the preseason next season. So that's not a guarantee, but again, that's a toss-up / maybe a slight favorite Ohio State just because it's at Ohio State. Different story if it was in Austin.
Yeah.
But also at Georgia, November 15th. So again, I'm betting on you win all the other games, and you have to win one or both. Well, quite frankly, you got to win them all to do better. And if you just slip up twice at Ohio State, at Georgia, you already have a worse record.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that's your resume, you lost to Ohio State, you lost to Georgia, you beat everybody else, you're in the playoff.
Oh man, we do this every year. I mean, we did this in peak Nick Saban era. You know, we always said they're really good. There's a great shot of them going undefeated, but they're not going to.
Right.
Because it's so hard to do that, to go through the SEC and then you throw in Ohio State. San Jose, you know, well, probably none of that doesn't matter, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel like you just kind of made it harder for yourself, but I could see a 10-2 scenario here. You're still in. It's still going to have a shot for a playoff spot because I think this is important because this bolsters that schedule that people get giving you a hard time about last year. So, yeah, to win 11, that would be tough. Maybe I wouldn't have them at the 1 spot, but I could see why you put them there.
Yeah. You hated all the selections
bring up Oklahoma real quick since I said it. I wanted to see there. So
again, they won 6?
6.
So better. That's why that's kind of why they didn't make the list, Shane.
Yeah.
It's because it's hard to, we're debating 5 or 7. If I had to pick one or the other, I'd probably go 5. But I think they can win out in the non-conference, which gets you to 4. Buddy, yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at it here, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer because they're already in a bad spot. But I'm thinking Auburn's a better football team. South Carolina will be a better football team.
Yeah.
Who else will be better here? LSU.
Alabama, for their sake, who you beat last year, and it's at Alabama, so it's a revenge game.
Yeah, at Alabama, at Tennessee, South Carolina. You talk about some of the toughest environments, man. Mm-hmm. They're going to be heading out. Oklahoma got no love when these schedules came out this year and last year. So, right. and I feel like last year was kind of nice situation compared to what we're going to see this year. So, yeah, give me like 5 for Oklahoma.
Well, you
not 5 wins, like 5 on the loss less than.
Oh, okay, I got you. That makes even more sense. Yeah, I'm not surprised. You're down on the Sooners. That's the same old story. You know what?
Yeah. Well, convince me why I'm wrong,
Well, their quarterback's he's Baker Mayfield 2.0. They just hired the next Lincoln Riley. I mean, everything's gravy over there, Shane.
Yeah, okay. All right, man. I dig it. Hey, they have been active in the portal, so I will give them that. It looks like they are paying some money now, so that's all it takes is 1 or 2 good pieces, and then you're back in it because you could argue that's why they lost 1 or 2 games this year. So anybody's in it, man. We're talking about next year. These rosters ain't even settled yet. I shouldn't even have brought it up. Wasn't even on Mike's list. Now I'm going to have Sooners after me like crazy, but I don't like to pander,
All right, buddy. Well, hey, we've hit about an hour. You got anything else before we hop off the line?
No, nothing really. Obviously we got some games coming up this week. I always talk about the notifications and the subscriptions. Awesome. Appreciate it. And taking advantage of these sponsors also help, but I got a funny little thing about the sponsors. You remember we had boner pills last week?
Yeah.
Well, apparently they sent me some and didn't notice coming in. So 15-year-old daughter opened a package and I have to explain to her why her dad doesn't need boner pills just yet. So that was awkward. But so always rush home, check your mail.
They support weight loss, Shane, and cardiovascular health.
That's exactly the angle I took, Mike. I didn't even know it was for that. It's the blood flow I needed better. So I could blush more in front of my 15-year-old.
Oh, buddy. All right. Well,
shit.
If that's all you got, that's all I got, brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate you as always. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Balls.
Eat them pills.
Hey, buddy, this beer's for you, Mike, and Cousin Shane. That SEC podcast loves the Pirate, and the Pirate loves that SEC podcast. Hail State.